say the opposites of them, because when we hear the opposites of these five, or especially the first ones maybe, then it sounds very familiar to what we understand normally from Buddhist point of view. Like the opposite of the first, like being permanent is impermanent, and we hear that so often, that things are impermanent, and so that alone could free us from being eternalistic or realist. Or if we hear everything is compounded because of many causes and conditions, that also frees us from the second aspect, like being singular.
Of course, yes.
Yes. But I think Tulku then today a little bit defined nihilism. Basically, that they say that they don't believe in the karmic cause and effect kind of principle. So, and then the consequence of that is, if you don't believe in causality, then things just randomly appear, without any proper causes. For Buddhists, that doesn't make sense, because then everything could just randomly appear infinitely, and then I could be enlightened without any effort, or my coffee mug would be filled with coffee without me brewing the coffee. So that would again be another extreme. And also nihilist, that was sort of what Tulku mentioned about not that they don't accept causality, and that implies, of course, they don't accept karma and not accept rebirth, and that also implies that they don't accept appearances having a relative existence, at least. So they say, no, there's absolutely nothingness. That would be the other extreme.
Okay, thank you.
So I made my coffee. So I put all the causes and conditions together, and so many other people put causes and conditions and effort in creating the coffee beans, and yeah. Anyway, that's why I came 1 minute late.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit tired, like, this thinking mind seems to be exhausted or something.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And all of a sudden I'm like, don't know. I don't know any definition or anything anymore. So thanks for reviewing that. Thank you.
And then today we mentioned a little bit the 9 jhanas. I mean, Tulku mentioned them based on the Guhyagarbha Tantra. There was this one quote, which then is more elaborately explained by Longchenpa, but Rinpoche didn't go into all that explanation. Can somebody tell me if the jhana of gods and humans is in the 9 jhanas or not? And also please give a reason for your answer.
I can answer that. It's not because the vehicle of gods and humans only takes you to a higher place with respect to samsara, whereas the jhanas, the 9 jhanas, are taking you out of samsara, supposedly.
What do you mean by supposedly?
Until it actually happens, we don't have direct experience of it.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, I
yes, but exactly, that's the answer. Yeah, like the 9 jhanas are really like meant to liberate us from samsara, like each of them, because the lowest result is arhathood, from the first jhana, Shravaka jhana. So that is already great. But then, the higher jhanas, they lead to Buddhahood. So both is definitely out of samsara. But yeah, the jhana of gods and humans don't have that aim. They are really, you just have a better samsara basically as a result, but not, we are still in samsara. Okay, and then another question, I think that was so nicely explained by Rinpoche today. Sometimes people say the first 8 jhanas So everything apart from Dzogchen is an obstacle. And sometimes these first 8 jhanas are understood to be helpers on the path. Could somebody explain that? Marlene, yes.
I understood that as being still in the observing the relative truth. So the 8 first jhanas, they belong to they are somehow connected with the relative truth.
But
And also existing in the relative truth, while the 9th jhana is going definitely beyond.
do you think Madhyamika is only concerned relative truth?
Seeing the absolute truth, but being in the relative truth.
But you know, even the Shravaka jhana leads to arhathood, and they have to see the ultimate truth to become free of samsara. So even the very first jhana is transcending samsara because they see the ultimate.
So please help me.
No, please think again. Or anybody can help, of course. Yeah, just unmute yourself. I think we are such a small group, so.
If someone has the faculty and the ability to already be in the 9th jhana and is practicing the Dzogchen, then for that person to follow any of the other jhanas would be an impediment, would be an obstacle. And for the person who is doesn't have the faculty to follow the 9th jhana, then that person would need to follow one of the other jhanas as being helpful for that person.
Yes, I think that's sort of perfect. The question is, why is it an obstacle? If I have Dzogchen potential, why is it an obstacle to do another jhana?
Because the Dzogchen potential, if someone has a Dzogchen potential and follows this jhana, then they can swiftly and easily arrive at the destination, whereas the other jhanas would take them more slowly and not as easily.
So does it mean we want to have the easy way, or are we so impatient, or why is there time pressure?
It means that we want the way that suits us the best and is tailored for our capabilities.
So there is no time pressure.
There is no time pressure because we're all going to reach there eventually.
I would say there is a time pressure.
Why is there time pressure?
Because all of us here, we are waiting for you, Effie, to become a Buddha.
True.
Really, we want you, we are waiting for you to become a Buddha so that you can guide us. You know, we have a close connection. So the sooner you are a Buddha, all your future disciples like us will be enlightened quicker. And
Yeah, but
if you take that long, you know, we will suffer much more.
Sentient beings can only liberate themselves. Sorry.
No. I'm not joking. Like your enlightenment is super important. But there's so many people that sort of will benefit from you once you are a Buddha, and if you are not becoming a Buddha soon, these people will suffer longer and longer. You know.
Yes,
So,
but one can only proceed on the path according to one's capabilities. And if I'm not if I'm not Dzogchen material, then I won't make it. So
yes, but
I need to go according to what I can do rather than burn out.
yes, I think Wolfgang wanted to say something, but I will also say something then.
Bodhicitta is try to Bodhicitta. Ich alt will wir allen helfen wollen.
Yes, that was German. So according to, let's say, our heart of Bodhicitta, there is sort of an urgency because we want to help others. Yeah, so, but still, Effie, of course, your point is right. If you don't have, if you are not at the moment not ready for the swifter path, then yeah, please take the path that is as swift as possible. Yes.
Sorry,
but I just, yeah, Cecilia?
Sorry, I just need some help here because I didn't really quite get the question or the statement. So we are saying that out of the 9 yanas, the last is the Dzogchen.
Yes.
And this is not the one yana that we were referring to last night, right?
Some people refer to it as the one yana, but I think here Tulku was saying emptiness in union with bodhicitta being the one yana. That is a more general answer, but I don't know if you would really ask him to give a name to that yana. Yesterday in the text, I think Madhyamika was mentioned, but some people say Dzogchen.
Okay. And the point that Effie was explaining was that it really depends on the capacity of each individual.
Yes.
And what about the remaining yanas? Are we saying that, you know, so depending on the capabilities, you know, each one will take whatever yana, but ultimately I think Dzogchen is the one for the highest capabilities. Is that the point, that the question that you were asking earlier?
That was part of the question, but my main question was, I think that was coming from Tulku's teaching, like, yes, so people say Dzogchen is the highest and fastest, and from that point of view, sometimes the other 8 yanas are considered to be obstacles because they are not that fast. But then one can also look from another perspective, that the other 8 are indeed very helpful and not obstacles. And that is what Effie was pointing out. In case you don't have the potential to practice the highest and fastest Dzogchen path, therefore you need another path, definitely. And therefore it's so great that there are 8 others so that we can find the one that is most suitable for us.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
So therefore they are super helpful if we can't practice Dzogchen. But if we can practice Dzogchen, yeah, it would slow us down to do the other ones.
So in a way, the capabilities or capacities are also in a way limited by individuals' karma, right? Or obscurations.
Yes. Yeah, we have, yeah, based on karma, obscurations, perception, tendencies, connections. You know, there's a big matrix of causes and conditions, I think, yeah.
Nakanobu Rinpoche teaches us that the Dzogchen was that in Dzogchen there were all the other, and that we can do every practice we want, and not for obstacle. Why?
Sorry, I didn't get it. So Namkhanobu Rinpoche said we can practice Dzogchen?
Inside the Dzogchen, there are also all the other yana, and that we can practice Vajrayana if we want, Mahayana if we want, everything we want, because our like in Dzogchen is compreso, I don't have, is inside everything. Sorry for my English.
I still didn't get it properly. So did he say in every jhana, every other jhana is included? No.
He said that we can do every practice we want, because in Dzogchen there are also Vajrayana, Mahayana, or everything inside.
Yes.
Not obstacle for us. And we have also some something that are not from Dzogchen, that are with, for example, Grintara, that he's in front of us at first. So we can do it normally. I am used to do everything I want.
I think Effie wanted to say something to that.
Yes, I think this is following on what Maria Teresa is saying, that Rinpoche did say today that if you are in a Dzogchen environment, but your faculty is not ripened for doing Dzogchen practice, then the teacher tells you you can do other practices like Shavakayana practices, and different ones.
Shavakayana is very difficult, because if you are in Dzogchen practice, you are with the bodhicitta inside, at least like Mahayana. And so I think that we have to have this intention, because it's the base. And but it isn't an obstacle.
Yeah, I'm just repeating what Rinpoche said today.
I remember what he said. But in my mind, it depends on which is the practice of Dzogchen, because for Chogyal Nankana Rinpoche was just Guru Yoga, be present. And that if you are these two, probably you can do everything.
Yeah, but there has to be the capacity to be on that level. That's the whole point. Like if you have that potential of Dzogchen, then it doesn't matter what you do. You will do everything with a Dzogchen view. Everything becomes a Dzogchen practice. Of course.
This is my point, because if I have the Dzogchen point and my point of view, I can do every practice, and probably I change myself. I change not in front of the God, but inside myself in the same moment. I do in this way normally, natural.
Yes, and what I wanted to say also, but if we don't have that potential, yes, then that is just not the jhana we should do at the moment. Then if we are not on the Guru Yoga or Dzogchen level, then it would be an obstacle to practice Dzogchen. But we need to find the jhana that suits us, that really addresses our problem. And if we are still selfish, then just altruistic Bodhisattva jhana might be the best, Or if we, or maybe for some Shravakayana is the best. Not forever, but as an important stepping stone, depending on what problem we have and what capacity we have.
Normally, if you are in the Shen level, you have inside the bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is inside everyone, but you have also in the mind that understood of bodhicitta and in the practice too, because it's the same of the bodhisattva view, of Mahayana view, but it's exactly the ground.
No, I'm saying if you are not on the level of Dzogchen or Guru Yoga, then you should not practice it, but you have to find something else. And it could be that you don't even have, that you're not even ready for bodhicitta. That's all I'm saying. I'm talking about those who are not having the Dzogchen potential at the moment. They have to do something else. And it could be that Shravakayana is the best for them.
You are in the Dzogchen level, you have not the transmission from Dzogchen level. because you have only the transmission when you are ready for that.
I think we're talking about very different things. I'm not talking about transmission. Effie and I and Tulku was only talking about if somebody has the capacity to practice Dzogchen or not. We're not talking about transmissions, teachers, or anything. If you don't have the capacity to practice Dzogchen, you should not do it. It will be an obstacle if you do it because it's not addressing your problem. It's not the method that you can practice. Therefore, you have to find something else, one of the other 8 yanas. But if you have the capacity to practice Dzogchen, then that is the path to do. And everything else would be an obstacle.
The practice to be present, it could be in a different level of people because everyone has his own capacity to be present. But if you practice that, you improve this capacity, for example.
Yes. Okay, now we agree. Good. Oh, Shangli Shim. We can't hear you yet.
Yeah, hello.
Hello.
I believe that there's one thing that I believe is our karmic connection to whichever yanas we're supposed to practice, you know. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Because I believe 10 years ago, I stayed in a place that's just opposite a Theravada temple. And then I do have friends who are teachers there. They did invite me to become a teacher there, but I really have no interest. Then my friend told me, you're not ready yet. I did not understand at that time. My understanding of Buddhism is very, they're very simple. We just go and pray, do our puja, we recite, we visit the temple. Then later on, 3 years, after 3 years, that is 7 years ago, my daughter took me to this Vajrayana temple. You know, she's very interested in Vajrayana because she went overseas study. She has some problems, some depression. Then she saw this funny monk, you know, Sam Tuku Rinpoche, the funniest monk, you see. From there, she told me, let's go and visit this temple. So we went there, and from there we started to study some Vajrayana practices. You know, we did understand most of the things from there. So I believe there's a karmic connection. It's not just that we just want to be there, you know, and then we will follow that yana. It's more or less we say it's karmic connections then. What do you all think?
Yeah, that's what I meant earlier. There's a big matrix, you know, many different important factors, you know, that are important, to which yana we feel attracted to. And yes, karmic connection, capacity, even like surrounding. Yeah, but karmic connection is definitely one of the very main factors, definitely. And also then within Tibetan Buddhism, which Vajrayana, of course, then where you end up. Are you going more to the Sakyapas or the Geloks or Nyingma or Kachus? All that, you know, is also then different and based on our karmic connections, yes.
At that time, we did not understand any one of this, you know. We didn't know there's so many types of Buddhism.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just the way they also entered, and then we went for the studies and all this.
Yeah, but that's the beauty. There's so much. I mean, we talked about it yesterday, right? It's good that Buddhism has so many yanas, so that, Effie said today, nobody is left out, you know, but everybody can find that yana or path or tradition or sub-school that really fits best. And for some, yeah, it's Zen Buddhism, definitely. And for some, it is, I don't know, maybe the Vajrayana of the northern treasures of, North Tibet. Could be very like specific. Yeah. Marlene.
I read with very deep interest this book of Dzongsa Khyentse Rinpoche, Poison is Medicine. And I really read it with deep interest. And so I asked myself, but where do I get the empowerment to be able to do Dzogchen? And this I haven't understood up to now. It's a miracle for me. Or did I understand something wrongly, or?
Yes, why everybody wants Dzogchen? I don't understand that.
Because it's part of Vajrayana.
Yeah, but why are you not saying I want Charya Tantra? Or Mahayoga Tantra or Tumo?
Because I don't know anything about that. So
But yesterday you said you don't know so much about Dzogchen, but still you want it.
because it is, in my ears, it is being announced as something
Yes.
which you have to reach and which is the thing you should practice. So,
Yeah, exactly.
and
Yeah.
and there's one more important point that for 3 years I followed Sogyal Rinpoche, and there was always a group who did Dzogchen, and I wondered what is that and why can't I access to that? And okay, so there's a big mystery around that, and I would love to have some clarification.
Okay.
If it's not too much time,
No.
and lost time for the others.
Oh, I think Turku talked about that today. So everybody who's getting bored, please practice generosity with your time. That was so nice how he explained it. Yeah, so Dzogchen, yeah, as you said, it's always announced, and I guess it's true. It's the highest thing, the fastest thing, the practice. But that, like, if you follow a more traditional teacher, that is really not taught publicly, but that is given like really from your teacher to you, because she or he knows that you are able to do it. Because if people receive Dzogchen teachings too early, that could spoil them a lot, because then you become like too nihilistic and you maybe don't understand the importance of Bodhicitta and so on. So therefore, that should be only taught to those who are really ready. And so therefore, you need sort of an authentic teacher who knows you well enough, and then so that is the first step. And then the second step, he or she should, and then the second step, you need to have the capacity. I mean, so from the teacher's point of view, she or he, if she's authentic, is always willing to give you the highest teachings. Of course, every teacher is like that. But then they see we are not ready for it, and then they don't give it to us. So therefore, you need to make yourself ready, basically. And then if your teacher thinks that you are ready or knows that you are ready, then he or she will introduce you to Dzogchen. Yes. I mean, that is really the classic step-by-step thing. And yeah, so it has to come from an authentic teacher who knows you, and then giving it to you. And how can you be ready for that? I don't know, but just do whatever you do as a practice, that will purify whatever obscurations you have, and then you will progress, like practice as much wisdom as possible and as much compassion as possible. So in other words, Bodhicitta, and that will purify your obscurations and will increase your qualities, and then you will be more and more ready.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, another thing I wanted to discuss, because Turku discussed it today. What does being a Buddhist mean? There's a nice definition by Longchenpa, which, oh wait, Shongli Shim, did you want to ask something? No, your hand is still up? No, okay. So what does it mean to be a Buddhist? What was Longchenpa's definition today? And yeah, you don't have to know it by heart, but just there were 2 points in it. Can you remember that? Yes, Maria Teresa, the 2 points are? Are you talking already? Yes, you're talking. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry. You take refuge in the three jewel in two different directions, like result and like.
Wait. That is the first point. Yeah, taking refuge. And the
Like
second point?
For axioms. I
Yes.
don't understand the words that you use. Seed.
Seal. You know the four seals of Buddhism.
On the test there is axiom. I understand the seal and I have the dictionary means foca in Italian, that is an animal like that.
Okay.
I didn't understand these words.
I think axiom just means like the main four principles of Buddhism.
These
Yeah.
are, and there are also the definition from Longchamp. This is easy.
Yes, and I just post them in the chat. The four seals, in case somebody has read Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche's book, What Makes You Not a Buddhist? It's about that. Okay, so Maria Therese was, remembering correctly, to be a Buddhist, Longchenpa explains, these two things, like taking refuge to the three jewels, and is it, and then my question is it and you have to follow the four axioms or seals, or is it you can choose?
It's and.
Yeah, I just also checked. Yeah, so and then Toko gave exam. So that's good. And generally, people say there are two approaches how to become a Buddhist. Either is, I think Rinpoche used character. Usually, it's called like conduct, let's say. And the other approach is more the view of philosophy. That's what Rinpoche said. So some are more conduct, character, like, yes, they take the refuge, and the others, they have the view of the four seals. Does somebody remember that and would like to elaborate? Apparently not. Yeah, so Atisha was more saying what makes a difference between a Buddhist and not a Buddhist is taking refuge. So he is more on that side, that this is the main thing, taking refuge makes you a Buddhist. And Songtse Khyentse Rinpoche in the book was more on the view side, right? He was saying, if you follow the four seals, then you're a Buddhist. If not, not. And Longchenpa is sort of putting both together. I have the feeling that you need both. And Rinpoche gave an example. He says that many people, many scientists, they follow the four seals. Do you remember? Effie at least remembers. Effie, what do you think? Do you agree with that?
I can say that, or I think that many scientists would accept them, like from a scientific perspective. But
Really?
Yeah, why not? I mean, they're very logical. Everything compounded is impermanent. That it's, how do you say? It makes sense. They're logical.
Yes, that's first and the third. I agree. Scientists will come to that conclusion if they are open-minded. Yeah. But I think the scientists will not talk about nirvana.
Probably not.
Exactly. And I think they might not talk about negative emotions so much, the second noble truth, second seal.
Yes, they could do, because I think there have been some scientific experiments how negativity impacts the health and things like that.
But Actually, the main contamination is dualistic thought. I don't know if that is present, that understanding in scientists, that dualistic thought is the main culprit. Yeah, anyway, I thought especially the fourth seal, you know, like I doubt that scientists really have that. They don't talk about nirvana. That's
Unless they take to mean nirvana as a state of calm, non-anxiety, you know, as a mental state.
but then that's not the fourth seal. So they misunderstand it.
Maybe.
But that's interesting with the negative emotions and what you said about the scientists. Yeah.
In my note, he spoke of, I take note on this point that you ask. And there is that you have to interest for the path, only if you have interest for the path, you take refuge. And also that go inner the negative emotion means to be Buddhist. And also, if you believe a Buddha like a guide, and the four axioms. I wrote just this.
Yeah, I mean, the definition is clear by Longchenpa, right? It's refuge and the four axioms. And then refuge, yeah, is, as it said, you know, then there are different approaches, like how Shravakayana practitioners or Mahayana practitioners take refuge. Yeah.
Exactly the point that you mentioned just now about the inner negative work on the negative emotion that he mentioned about to be Buddhist or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's also a thing. Yeah, scientists might believe maybe that negative emotions shape our reality and perception and make us suffer.
I didn't speak about the scientist. I answered
no, but I'm
your question before. Sorry.
Yeah. But I don't. But still, but my thought is, even if they believe it, I don't know if they really practice it. You know, if they really then go on the path and try to remove negative emotions. And anyway, just food for thought.
In my experience, the same with the negative emotion, there is also in Hinduism, for example, in the school of Swami Rama, the Himalayan master, and also in Catholic, exactly in the same way with the four opponent energy, is exactly with almost the same words.
You mean they're talking about the four axioms in Catholic Church?
No, about the to work inside for put away the negative emotion, put away my word.
Okay.
There are Chitta Prasadana is the Indian name for this. And it works with the four opponent forces, not the axiom. Like you have to recognize, you have to think that you want not to repeat this kind of things in the future. I don't remember all four, but I had like this. Exactly the same.
Oh, yeah, the four powers, like what we use in Vajrasattva, I guess.
It's the same in Catholic confession,
yeah.
And also in the Chitta Prasadana of the Himalayan Master School.
Yeah. The four powers are not specifically Buddhist. Yeah, definitely. Okay, and then I think today we talked, the first one, I think the first seal is easy, right? Everything compounded is impermanent. That's how the wording is. I think that we have heard a lot. Therefore, things are just not reliable and they don't last longer than a moment, sort of. And yeah, therefore we cannot really base our happiness on something impermanent, you know, that will not be stable. Und and then the second seal, that was a little bit, there Rinpoche explained it a little bit more because that is not so simple. Does somebody remember a little bit about this contaminated thing, you know, and he was comparing things like a cable or emptiness. What do you think about that?
I can volunteer if no one else says anything.
Thank you. And then you, by definition, you are volunteering also that I will poke you.
But I'll wait for someone else to come forth first. I don't know, but Wolfgang is sending something in the messages.
That was something else, and also his keyboard is getting crazy. He says. Okay, Effie.
Okay, so
Contaminated thing, yeah. Second noble, second seal.
So something which has disturbing emotions attached to it, because we attach disturbing emotions, or I don't know, what did he say, negative emotions to it, is not something that will serve as an antidote, because the more we consider it and the more we think of it, the more the disturbing emotions will arise. And he said that contemplating emptiness is, or what did he say, emptiness or impermanence? I don't know.
He said emptiness. Yes.
Yeah. So contemplating emptiness is not going to cause more disturbing emotions. Analyzing and contemplating on emptiness is the antidote for that. And then he mentioned that the only compounded thing, which is the path, that is not under this category is the path. So he said that the path is the only thing that will not cause us disturbing emotions out of all phenomena. That's it.
Okay, so very good. That is what Turku said, definitely. So the first, let's look at these 2 points, so because I have questions about each of them. So the first point was objects create negative emotions, something like that, Effie, or how did you put the first point? They're contaminated, objects that are contaminated with emotions?
Yes, objects in, yeah, go on, Maria Teresa, you can go.
Continue.
Effie, please.
Objects in and of themselves are not contaminated.
Good, yeah. Yeah. I knew that you know that, but yes.
But when contaminated means that there is something there, that is something added there, some dirt, and this is the negative emotion. So our negative emotions are imposed on objects, and that's what makes them contaminated.
So you're agreeing that if I'm attached to this object, you might not necessarily, or a bodhisattva on the Bhumis might see the same object and is not contaminating it, right?
Exactly. Or I could be contaminating something else that you wouldn't
Exactly.
know about. You know?
Yeah, because maybe you love chocolate and I have an allergy to chocolate. So if you look longer at chocolate, you get very passionate about it. And I just don't care.
Actually, I don't care about chocolate either, but
sorry. And yesterday I made you already to a dogmatic, arrogant vegan.
okay.
Sorry.
I can take it.
No, sorry. And I was the careless meat eater. But yeah, exactly. So therefore, I mean, that was the first part. I think that reminds me very much on Tilopa, what he said to Naropa, right? Like, oh, my son, it's not the objects that bind you, but your attachment to them. So I mean, the objects, I wanted to check if everybody agrees that the object itself, they are sort of innocent or neutral, sort of, you know. And then, yes, either I love it or I hate it or I'm neutral about it, or I have a pure perception, you know, about it. But the object itself is sort of not really negative. It's, yeah, because, yeah, with a chocolate example, you know, like somebody might get very attached and the other one doesn't care. And I might even get hatred because I have allergic memories. We all agree on that? Nice. And the second point, emptiness cannot create negative emotions. That I think we could discuss, because there are people who get attached to emptiness and become nihilist.
There is another point very interesting before that
Okay.
there is in the note 58 is in two direction. Corruptible refers to whatever to produced by, and also afflictive states produce afflictive states. So it's always correlated with negative emotion, afflictive states, in two different ways. When produce afflictive states, or when is produced by afflictive states.
Which page are you?
The note number 58, and then the words is in also in your chat. Is this definition? Everything that is corruptible produces suffering.
Yeah.
The note of this is what I say.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. Yeah, and to the second point, yes, of course, emptiness is meant to be an antidote, because our main problem is that we take things for too real and we have grasping to them. That is definitely a problem, and therefore, yes, we have the Heart Sutra to say no, 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 you know, so that we let go and are not ignorant about the true, that we are not ignorant about the reality of things. As I said, you know, we are ignorant because something that is actually not truly existent, we think it's truly existent, and therefore we think it's reliable, therefore we get attached to it, or we perceive it as an enemy or something negative. And so emptiness is the antidote to all that, because we understand things are not truly existent, but only appearing. And also we understand that there is no ego that could grasp to anything. Yeah, but nevertheless, there are like there's often the danger, you know, that people get attached to emptiness and understand it as true non-existence, you know, that there's really nothingness, you know, that would be another extreme. And therefore, Shantakirti, for example, in his Madhyamika Avatara is saying, therefore we should talk about also the emptiness of emptiness, so that we are not solidifying emptiness, sort of, you know. So because Patrul Rinpoche is also saying, when we start getting attached to the antidote, like emptiness, then it's so difficult to be cured, because then, yeah, there's no antidote left, you know. But generally, Tulku said, emptiness is something that is, is generally not producing negative emotions, and therefore that is sort of a safe object, quote unquote, to meditate upon. But every normal worldly thing, if we meditate upon it, that means, like, if we are getting very, very accustomed to it, then we might get negative emotions like attachment or aversion. Actually, I forgot to say I have to leave in 12 minutes. But if you want, I can just leave it on, and you can discuss among yourselves. Yeah, there's something spontaneous with Khenchen Pema Sherpa today where I have to go, or also want to go. Okay, so is everything clear about this contaminated business or not? Because that is really important, I think, from a Buddhist point of view and from the second seal point of view. Therefore, sometimes it's even like provocatively translated like all emotions are pain, the second seal. And that includes also positive emotions, as long, like if I have love, what I call love to my wife or husband, there's a lot of attachment in it, and so that creates more suffering because I'm having a lot of expectations, and then he or she feels imprisoned or not good enough, or I feel frustrated if my expectations are not met, or I get jealous if he or she is flirting with somebody else. So like what we call normally love is like a big part of it is really like attachment.
It's the same also with the practice. If you have attachment for practice or for teachings, it's always an attachment in affliction.
Yes, there's also Wolfgang's question, which now I get, but before we go there, anything else to that topic of contamination and emotions being pain, or contaminated things being cause for suffering? Okay, then we have Wolfgang's question here, and many nice messages from his system, I think. So there was a topic of two, when we talk about one jhana, that there are like two perspectives on it. And I think Tulku concluded that by saying maybe some of us understood it and some of us will slowly understand it. So because he said sometimes it is said that there's ultimately only one jhana, and sometimes it's also said there's ultimately no jhana. Do you remember that? And is somebody able to explain? Sorry, Wolfgang, yeah?
Yes. Darum geht's.
Yes, so that's the point. So does somebody remember that and would like to explain or discuss stuff?
Geht das in die Richtung wenn man den Leerheitsaspekt betrachtet, dass da kein Jana ist, wenn man den Erscheinungsaspekt betrachtet, dass es nur ein Jana gibt.
When I understood correctly, I think the addition to the question, if maybe it comes from looking more from the aspect of emptiness or looking more from the aspect of appearance. And I think, yes, I think like when we look more on the aspect of appearance, then that's what Turku yesterday talked about, this one jhana, you know, that no matter how we arrive at the door of the office, then there is one door to go through. So that is like this one jhana of emptiness in union with bodhicitta, for example. I think that's how you put it, yes. And so that is one jhana that everybody at some point has to practice in order to become a Buddha. But then if we look more from the very ultimate point of view, like the emptiness aspect, then yeah, we already, we have never been in samsara, so therefore there's never the need to go out of samsara, because samsara has never really existed. So problems have never really existed. And if there's no problem, then we don't need a solution. So in other words, you know, if there's no samsara, we also don't need a jhana to go out of that. So. But samsara is from this ultimate perspective is more understood as a dream, you know, like a nightmare, let's say. And if we have a nightmare, you know, we just need to wake up. Like let's say we have a nightmare of me being beaten. You know, if I have that nightmare, let's say there are like 3 guys who are beating me. That is my nightmare. But it's just enough to wake up. You know, that is. Then the enlightenment, and then I don't need any jhana. That means I don't need any method to get rid of these 3 guys. You know, I don't need any hospital to cure my wounds. I don't need to, run away from them or go to the police. All this jhana thing, that there's no method necessary anymore because they have never really existed. Likewise, samsara has never really existed. Therefore, we don't really need a jhana to get out of it.
Probably you have the same to go to the police or ask for helping also in a dream, if is the relative true, I think.
No, in the dream, yes, definitely. In the dream, I would try to run away and go to the police, yes. But I'm saying if we are looking from the perspective of being awakened, then there is no jhana necessary.
But probably you risk to have a life more shorter, and you have not enough time to improve bodhicitta and everything for the others if you don't react to like not a dream in the relative true.
Again, I'm saying we are already woken up from the dream, so we are not in the dream anymore. So there is nobody, you know, sort of. There's no delusion anymore.
Yeah, but you can lose your life, for example.
No, the dream is over, you know. So of course, an example is always limited, but we are just awoken from whatever delusion we had, you know. So therefore, we don't have to apply specific antidotes against particular aspects of the delusion because the whole delusion is gone anyway. So therefore, yeah, there's no need for antidote. There's no need for jhana if that delusion is gone. Maybe another example, maybe it's easier. Let's say I'm married and I think my wife is cheating on me. But I only think like that. She's not doing it, you know. But in my mind, she's cheating and I have a lot of jealousy and everything. And then maybe a friend can convince me, no, she was not cheating on you. She was just whatever. She was just going shopping, you know, during that time. I saw her there, full stop, you know. And then all my problems, all my jealousy, all that delusion is disappearing in one moment. So therefore, I don't need any particular method anymore to counteract that particular jealousy or that particular fear, or Okay, guys, I have to leave soon. Do you want to continue, or do you want to close? Okay, I think you want to close, then let's do it together with dedication. And thank you so much for bearing with me, but I thought this time, like, since we are in the second year, it's maybe we don't only need to copy paste the answers, what like, but it's good, I think, to think about stuff. By this merit, may all attain omniscience, may it defeat the enemy wrongdoing, from the stormy waves of birth, sickness, old age, and death, from the ocean of samsara, may all beings be set free. O precious and sublime Bodhicitta, may it arise where it has not yet arisen. Where it has arisen, may it never decline, but increase further and further. Okay, thank you, everyone. Then see you at the usual time, whatever that is for all of you, tomorrow morning with Turku. Bye-bye, have a nice Sunday.
Thank you.
And good start in the month of May.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Arne? Arne, bist du noch da?